Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
A broad range of tariffs go into effect at 9 o'clock tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. President Trump followed through this afternoon with promises to raise tariffs. KPBS reporter John Carroll talked to a local economist and a company CEO about what might happen next.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time.
That's how President Trump began his remarks at the White House. He went on to announce a whole series of tariffs at varying levels on many countries. That includes a 25% tariff on imported automobiles. The president says America has been getting ripped off by friends and foes alike for decades.
For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper.
A couple of things to say about that.
USD economics professor Alan Jin says the kind of prosperity Trump is talking about would take a long time to happen, if ever.
Again, I appreciate the idea of trying to protect U.S. jobs and things like that. But to do this, it's going to take years. These supply chains have been built up over a long period of time. Actually, you could view the offshoring of manufacturing in the U.S. as going all the way back to the 80s.
I am literally eyeball deep in myself in trying to understand this, because I have to then communicate throughout the organization. How are we going to manage these tariffs?
Regular viewers of Evening Edition will recognize Eric Barnes. He leads Chula Vista-based Highspan, a manufacturer of metal products for industrial applications. The company is international. They own maquiladoras in Mexico, among other places. He's not feeling optimistic, to put it mildly.
I don't see any scenario where, at least for us, who is a global company, where it somehow drives up demand in one of our, facilities or not.
For Barnes and countless other American business leaders like him, the tariffs present a complicated, incredibly challenging situation. But let's get back to basics for a minute. It's important to remember just what a tariff is.
A tariff is a tax on imports. So if a tariff is placed on a product, if it's imported into the country, the importer has to pay a tax to the U.S. government. Usually, though, the importer or the business that buys the product then is going to try to pass that cost on to consumers.
And that's the rub that leads to the big question. The administration has admitted Trump's action will cause some pain, but how much? And how long will the American people stand for it? The unsatisfying answer for all of us? We'll just have to wait and see. John Carroll, KPBS News.
As the international community assesses the impact of President Trump's tariffs, a number of U.S. trade partners pledged retaliation ahead of the announcement. And they include Mexico, Canada, China, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union. Here at home, the U.S. Senate is set to vote on a resolution aimed at blocking the duties on Canadian goods.
The people who are being liberated are the billionaires. None of his policies, including these tariffs, anticipate any relief for hardworking and middle-class families.
We get a lot of our electricity from Canada. We get a lot of our gasoline in the northern part of Vermont from Canada. We get our home heating fuel from Canada. Canada's our friend. It's not China.
Economists say tariffs benefit certain domestic manufacturers by landing them more business. On the other hand, it hurts international producers.
Well, the scattered showers that we've been seeing throughout yesterday and today, that's going to continue into the overnight hours and into tomorrow as well. Overnight, we're dropping down to the low 50s, and of course, the clouds will be sticking around because of the scattered showers. We'll take a look at the rest of the week and the weekend ahead coming up.
An initiative to make clean energy more accessible to families affected by January 2024's devastating floods hit a milestone today. SDG&E teamed up with the Center for Sustainable Energy to create the San Diego Solar Equity Program. The 10-year initiative aims to install solar panels for 300 families at little to no cost. Maricela Santa Cruz in Lomita is a member of one of those families, and she says she is still working to repair her home.
I think a few weeks ago it rained pretty hard, and I was just staring at this wall the whole time hoping, because I mean it got repaired but it hadn't rained like that, so I thought that's the true test.
And Maricela says she's now saving $200 each month on electricity, which is a huge help for her family of 5. Visit sdsolarequity.org to find out if you are eligible. A few years ago, Governor Gavin Newsom and San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria announced a new law known as Care Court. They suggested it would force people with serious untreated psychotic disorders to accept treatment and counties to provide it. For our latest Why It Matters segment, Voice of San Diego reporter Lisa Halverstadt checked on Care Court.
Some families have long watched their loved ones cycle through jails and hospitals, often never getting proper support. Then came Care Court. It would give families and others like clinicians and police a new tool. They could petition courts to link people with serious untreated psychotic disorders with treatment and obligate counties to deliver that treatment. The goal was to avoid stricter conservatorships, but still have court oversight. Here's how Newsom initially described it.
The plan allows for a new tool that is not just voluntary, not just stepping aside. It requires a partnership, however, with that individual, and that's where we're trying to find a meeting of minds.
And San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria.
While Care Court is not conservatorship, it could eventually lead to conservatorship. And the aim of Care Court is to reach people at an earlier stage, before they deteriorate over repeated crises, which is the only way so many of our folks can gain access to the housing and services they truly need right now.
Advocates raised concerns, and Newsom signed a law that included some changes. So how is Care Court working? San Diego County and other counties created a voluntary program. This means outreach workers can keep asking people, hoping they'll sign on, but they can refuse. So far, no one has been forced into the program in San Diego County, and the county has not pursued any conservatorships directly based on someone's struggles in Care Court. As of a few weeks ago, the county said it had 105 voluntary treatment programs and that the program has helped people with significant challenges. State officials have also praised San Diego County's care program. So what should we make of this? The Care Court rhetoric hasn't panned out in San Diego. Newsom and Gloria said Care Court wouldn't just be offering services, it would push people into treatment, and that's not how it's turned out. Some advocates and families are disappointed. They argue people who refuse to participate are left behind. Now Gloria is co-sponsoring a law that could create more conservatorships for struggling Care Court participants. I'm Lisa Halverstadt for Voice of San Diego, and that's why it matters.
Voice of San Diego is one of our partners for the Public Matters Initiative. You can learn more at kpbs.org/publicmatters. Residents in National City may have noticed an unexpected addition to their library staff. Police officers. iNews Source intern Hannah Salma Ramirez explains.
National City has been using armed police officers instead of private security at its public library since February. That's because of an 80% increase last year in calls for service at the library. Reported disturbances of peace more than doubled.
When we were discussing it financially, it didn't make a lot of sense to pay a company to sit there and then call us, and then we're sending the same resources that we would have already had there to handle the call.
Now an officer is present during most afternoons, and they receive overtime pay for that work. It's covered by the funding that was previously used to pay for private security.
By having a police officer there, we're handling the call on the front end. We don't have another layer that we have to do. So it's been very beneficial to us.
It's a different approach from nearby cities. San Diego and Chula Vista do not staff police at their libraries. National City's library director tells us that so far, there's been a positive response from community members. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource intern Hannah Salma Ramirez.
iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Trump announces a new round of tariffs on trading partners around the world. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Massive job cuts are rolling through multiple agencies within U.S. Health and Human Services. One FDA employee described it as a, quote, bloodbath. As Laura Aguirre explains, the method of the cuts and the amount are drawing polarizing reaction along partisan lines.
These folks have no idea what harm they're causing.
But these changes have to be made for the future of our government.
Opposing views on the seismic downsizing within agencies under the Department of Health and Human Services, a move that HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently called a shift to new priorities.
Especially ending the chronic disease epidemic with clean water, safe food, effective medicine, good science.
The exact number of job cuts that began Tuesday not immediately clear, but last week, Secretary Kennedy forecast that 10,000 full-time employees would be let go, on top of thousands of others who've already left, or probationary employees who are on administrative leave.
I'm so sad as not only a federal worker, but as an American. I mean, just to no heart. There's just no sense to it.
They're just taking a hatchet to various agencies. That has an enormous impact on the health and safety, not only today and tomorrow, but 10 years from now.
Agencies including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institutes of Health, and the Food and Drug Administration, impacting work on HIV, injury prevention, reproductive health, minority health, smoking, violence prevention, and much more.
We have an entire Office of Head Start who, they're gone. They're gone.
We have to be careful, but at the same time, we cannot continue to spend it the way that we are.
What remains will be merged into a new organization called the Administration for a Healthy America, or AHA, says Secretary Kennedy.
The entire federal workforce is downsizing now, so this will be a painful period for HHS.
I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors voted Tuesday to create a new county department for homelessness. The funding for the department is being pulled from a regional agency that has faced audits criticizing its handling of taxpayers' money. Tom Waite has more.
A showdown over LA's homeless crisis, with tensions between LA City and county leaders spilling out into the public. Tuesday, the County Board of Supervisors made a stunning move, voting to gut LA County's Homeless Services Authority, or LAHSA, a joint city-county-run agency, stripping it of hundreds of millions of dollars in funding and creating a new county-controlled Department of Homelessness.
It's important for us to build a system that is going to be responsive, not just to the city of LA, which is really why LAHSA was set up.
We are moving into a new phase, closing a chapter on what hasn't worked on homelessness, and really taking accountability, transparency, and we're taking that lead from the public.
LAHSA was born out of a lawsuit decades ago. Its creation allowed LA County and the city to share control over the agency's massive budget. Supervisors say their move to consolidate power within the county was made after multiple audits that showed LAHSA lost track of billions of dollars in funding. And just last week, a federal judge blasted LAHSA for being ineffective and mismanaged.
Right now, quite frankly, the frustration I'm hearing, and I feel, and I was on the LAHSA board, is there's a lack of transparency.
Shortly before the vote, LA Mayor Karen Bass released a statement opposing the move to defund LAHSA. And several LA City Council members came to Tuesday's Supervisors Board meeting to urge supervisors to vote against LAHSA's unraveling.
What we need right now is collaboration and planning, and not uncertainty.
As you know, LAHSA was created because there were not clear lines of communication through lawsuits. And that never really got fully resolved throughout LAHSA, and I fear it actually could get worse.
Supervisors say their decision to blow up LAHSA is not intended to spark division.
I have no doubt that we're going to continue to work with the city of Los Angeles. I hope they will also choose to work with us back. But we also have that commitment to 87 other cities, plus our unincorporated areas.
We come in peace. This is not about the city of LA. This is about LAHSA and the fact that we are the gatekeeper for these taxpayer dollars.
There's a new place to enjoy the San Diego shore in the South Bay. KPBS reporter Melissa May shows us the grand opening of the Port of San Diego's newest and largest park.
3, 2, 1.
Sweetwater Park in Chula Vista is now open. 39 acres providing more public access to the shoreline. The park features a playground, 2.5 total miles of pedestrian walkways and bicycle paths, and more.
Meadows, specialty gardens with native plants, mounded grasslands, picnic space, sand dunes, natural walkways, overlooks for bayfront viewing, kumeyaay signage to acknowledge and remind us of the ancestral stewardship of the land.
There's even a public art installation created by local artist Roberto Salas. It's a 25-foot sculpture of a furcula, also known as a wishbone. Salas calls it the rigors of flight, and it's a tribute to the flight taken by birds in the area.
I laid down and closed my eyes to listen better. And then I realized that there was all these birds flying by, and I'm in the Pacific Flyway here. And I said, oh man, that's just something about birds.
The Port of San Diego held 3 community meetings to get input about the park.
And one of the main things that people wanted of this park was the ability to be able to walk through it, to enjoy it, to have quiet space. And there's all these like areas that you can sit and you can look out into the nature, and you can look into the National Reserve that's right next door.
The park is part of the Chula Vista Bayfront Master Plan. The city of Chula Vista partnered with the port to make it a reality.
We are committed to thoughtful, sustainable development that enhances our community while preserving nature's beauty that makes this area so special.
You don't have to spend a penny, and you can come here and you can enjoy the beautiful bayfront and to be able to have opportunities to recreate.
The Gaylord Pacific Resort and Convention Center is the next part of the project to be completed and is set to open next month. Melissa May, KPBS News.
If you plan to visit the waterfront anytime soon, prepare to pay a bit more for parking. Rate increases will impact about 700 spaces at 3 locations. Starting today, rates will increase from $1 to $2 per hour at Spanish Landing Park. At Marina Parks North and South, parking will jump from $175 to $250 per hour. And at Shelter Island, from $125 to $225 per hour. Port of San Diego officials say the rates are going up due to increased demand for parking in the area. The rates will increase again to $2.50 at all locations on July 1st. 23andMe recently filed for bankruptcy and is looking to be bought by another company. Now, some lawmakers are urging users to delete their accounts to protect their data from a potential new buyer. Jen Sullivan explains how to keep your personal information secure.
Genealogy kits have become increasingly popular as more people want to learn about where they came from, but your personal information could be vulnerable.
We really don't have too many laws that protect this information.
Anya Prince is a law professor at the University of Iowa. She says it's important for customers to read these genealogy companies' privacy policies before signing up.
At the federal level, we don't have a general data protection law.
The Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, known as GINA, protects people from being discriminated by insurance companies and employers based on genetic information. And your health information that's collected through these sites is protected through HIPAA. But even if you delete your account, Prince says traces of your information could still be available.
It's not a complete deletion of everything, but it does minimize the amount of data.
Here's how 23andMe works. You're sent a kit to collect a sample of your saliva, and that can spit out a lot of information about you, including health risks for certain diseases, carrier risks, and information about your ancestry line.
Genetic information and health information is so valuable.
23andMe estimates it has 15 million customers. As the company looks to sell, Prince says many companies will be interested to buy because of how valuable that data is.
A medical research company or a pharmaceutical company could find this data helpful. Somebody who wanted to partner with law enforcement to share genetic information might find this useful.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Well, we've seen some rainfall really throughout the week. It's been very scattered, and that's the trend that's going to continue through tomorrow. We do have a chance of some thunderstorms, mostly in our inland areas, not up into the mountains, for example. But we are going to warm up into the weekend as the system passes. So let's break it down step by step, starting with what to expect for tonight. So really across the board, we're hanging on to the clouds. Some of us hanging on to some of that scattered rain. Oceanside, we're dropping down to 50. San Diego dropping down to 53. 29 is your low in Mount Laguna, 46 over in Borrego Springs. Again, tomorrow hanging on to the clouds, not seeing as many over in places like Borrego Springs because we won't be seeing that chance of scattered rain, but that does continue just about everywhere else further inland and towards the coast. Now, this is where we have the chance of some scattered thunderstorms as well, so just don't be surprised if you hear some thunder, see some lightning, and of course head inside if you do. Temperature wise, we're at 64 in Oceanside, low 60s in San Diego, 30s in Mount Laguna. Here's a look at the scattered rain that we are looking at. We'll see some snow mixed in up in the mountains, but mainly it's just rain hanging on into the coast here. As we go throughout our Thursday, we're right around noon. We're seeing some of the scattered rainfall, some heavier at times as we head into the evening hours, and then that will end up moving out of here. Taking a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. Thursday is the only day that we are still dealing with that rain. We clear out otherwise for the end of the week, and take a look at how the temperatures increase from Thursday to Friday. We're going from the mid 60s to the upper 60s, and the warming trend that continues as we head through the weekend. Sunday seeing our highest high in the mid 70s there, and then we start to cool down. Further inland, we are jumping from the low 60s to the upper 60s by Friday. Totally sunny skies for the weekend. We get to the 80s by Sunday. Then our mountain outlook, we're in the 30s, up into the 40s for Friday and Saturday, to the 50s by Sunday. And of course, seeing more of that sunshine Saturday and Sunday as well. It's a similar trend in the desert, but we get to the 80s by Saturday, upper 80s by Sunday, even 90 for your Monday. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather's Anna Azalian.
For almost 15 years, Jessica Johnson has run a website dedicated to all of the most interesting nooks and crannies of San Diego County. Hidden San Diego has been a go-to resource for residents and tourists to find the most obscure and the most treasured locations of San Diego. I decided to team up with Jessica so that she could take me to some of those spots, and today we take you along with us to Balboa Park's Zorro Garden. So here we are in Balboa Park. Jessica, tell us, first of all, what location this is.
So this is called Zorro Garden, which is presently a butterfly garden for all stages of a butterfly's life. My name is Jessica Johnson. I run the popular brand Hidden San Diego. Hidden San Diego is your go-to website for all hidden, haunted, and amazing spots in San Diego. You'll see milkweed, passion flower, some gorgeous Morton Bay fig trees. It's a really magical little area. I like to challenge people that are from San Diego that I bet you half of those spots on my website you've never even heard of before. I'm from San Diego myself, and I'm constantly finding new places all the time. You never know, like, you really got to just explore every little pocket because you never know what little secret spot you might find. I have my website's categorized by town, so if you even don't have a car, you can find what's in your own neighborhood.
Tell us what this actual platform was used for.
So this was all built in 1915, but during the Pacific International Exposition of 1935 and 1936, this was a nudist colony where they would sunbathe all day. You could pay 25 cents to spectate, or you could peek for free through the fence.
So the fence actually had holes in it where spectators who didn't wish to pay could actually just peek through the hole?
There's a hilarious photo of it where you can see everyone peeking through the fence.
Who were the people who were the nudists here?
They were traveling actors. That I don't think this is the only place that they were doing this at. They were getting paid to just lounge all day nude in the sun.
That sounds like a, an easy job.
Yeah. The women were completely nude. The men had a nude colored cloth over their groin.
So the nudist colony was actually recreated here. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, a group of mostly college-age women came here in leotards that were nude, colored, and they recreated the exposition, and it drew all different types of people here. I'm sure all different types of reactions.
So when you walk here and you look around, do you see a nudist colony or do you see what it is today, a butterfly garden?
I see both because I've seen the photos of what it looked like right here, and the fact that they haven't done anything to this. It looks like what it did 100 years ago.
So this is one of your favorite highlights of Zorro Garden?
I absolutely love these trees. There's a few of these around Balboa Park, but these are two of the most beautiful ones. They just cascade down like a waterfall.
And what are these?
They're Moreton Bay fig trees. I call the fruit the moon and star fruit because it looks like that.
So I see a trail going that way. Where does that lead to?
Yeah, we took it once out of curiosity. Where does this trail take us? And it led us to the World Beat Center. Yeah, a fun little adventure.
Much better than taking the beaten path.
Right. Yeah, for those that want to avoid people, take this. Every corner has a potential surprise, and just to get out there, get out of your house, get off of your phone, and see all the beauty, while you're healthy and capable of seeing it.
And you can find more of Jessica's Hidden San Diego and California sites on her webpage, hiddensandiego.com. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.